Greetings, friends. So I have two or three stories, things that happened to me, paranormal stories or events that I would like to share. The first one is called the stapler. So this particular day, I was home by myself and I was looking for my stapler, so I went to my desk and it wasn't there. I looked everywhere in the room and I couldn't find it. I went back to the desk and removed everything from on top of the desk, and I swept my hand over the desk and no stapler. I went to other parts of the house. I looked in the refrigerator, I looked in the toilet, I looked in cabinets and drawers and in coat pockets and what have you, and spent hours looking for my stapler and I couldn't find it. I came back to the room that I usually keep my stapler in, and though I had searched it several times, including the desk, I sat in my chair kind of like I am here now, and I turned around kind of like this, and the stapler was right there. It just appeared. There was nothing else on the table but the stapler. Nobody else was in the house. I spent an hour or so looking for the stapler and it was nowhere until after I had exerted myself looking for it. Then it just miraculously appears. Where did it go and how did it come back? It's a mystery and it's a phenomenon. I believe that we exist in parallel worlds, and perhaps it was taken by the other me in the other parallel world and was being used. And then after I got through using it in the other parallel world, I brought it back into this world. But of course I probably was not aware of what I was doing in that other dimension. And so that's one of my paranormal experiences with the stapler. The other one was one day I came home and again the house was empty. I was alone, so I opened the door, the front door, and I come in and I hear voices. I hear voices in the back in this room that I am right now in. So I very carefully, with caution and safely, made my way from the front door back to this room to see if someone was in the house. And the voices sounded like a couple of men speaking. And so I, as I got closer to the room, to where the voices were coming from, the voices suddenly disappeared. So I went back to the front room in the living room. I turned on the TV and I heard the voices again. So this time I went back to the room, and then I went to the kitchen and to other, and I checked the whole house inside and nobody was there. So I went and sat down on the sofa, and as I sat on the sofa, there was a sound, like a squeaking sound, and I said, oh, I probably sat like on one of those squeaky toys. So I lifted up the cushions and moved the pillows, and there wasn't no squeaky toy there. And so I watched TV for a few minutes, and then I got up and I went to go use the bathroom. And so after using the bathroom, I closed the door, but I didn't lock it. So I went back, I sat down to watch TV, and then that squeaking sound happened again. So I took all the pillows and cushions off of the sofa again, and there was no squeaky toy. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I moved the sofa, looked behind the sofa, looked under the sofa and around it, and there was nothing that could cause that sound. I heard the voices of those men speaking again. This time I said, it's coming from outside, probably my neighbors. So I went outside, and nobody was outside, and the voices disappeared. I came back inside, and I went to the bathroom, and the door was locked, but I didn't lock the door. And so I couldn't get into that particular bathroom, so I went to another bathroom in the house. Then I went back to watch TV, and everything was okay. The squeaking sound did not happen again, so the squeaking sound happened like 2 or 3 times, and then it never happened again. The voices happened like about 3 or 4 times, and then they never happened again. So I sat there, watched TV for half an hour or so. I got up and I went to the bathroom. That the door was locked, and I just touched the doorknob, and the door just opened. I didn't turn the doorknob. I just touched the doorknob, and the door opened, and it kind of freaked me out. And so I pushed the door. I gently pushed the door open, and everything was fine. So I did what I was going to do, and then I went back to watch TV, and that's that story of the weird, phenomenal, paranormal events that took place that particular day in my house. Another story is time travel. I traveled into time about 2 or 3 hours this particular day. I was working at an apartment complex. I was a maintenance man, and so I was getting this apartment ready so that it could be moved into by some new tenants. And so it was getting pretty close to lunchtime, so I stopped work and I got into my truck, and I went to a nearby fast food restaurant and got something to eat. So I was listening to the radio on the way back to the job, and then I parked the truck, and I was sitting in the parking lot listening to a show that usually comes on at 4 o'clock. And I look at the clock on my wrist, and I look at the clock on the radio in my truck, and also the announcer said, it's 4 o'clock, so this particular show that I used to listen to, this talk show, came on at 4 o'clock. But in the back of my mind I said, I haven't been gone that long. It's not time for me to go home. I just left, I just left like about half an hour ago, or about an hour ago, to go eat, because it was lunchtime. So anyway, I listened to the show that for a few minutes, and then I said, okay, so I'll go inside the apartment and I'll listen to it on a radio that I had in there while I was doing the work in that apartment, getting it ready. So, but when I went inside the apartment, it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it wasn't 4 o'clock anymore, and the show was not on. So somehow on my way back from the restaurant, time moved forward 2 or 3 hours, and it was 4 o'clock for more than a few minutes, and then everything went back to normal. So anyway, those are 3 of my paranormal experiences, and so that's it. Much love and peace to all, and be kind to one another. Yes.